shot in the back. I was down for about 2 years. So I've been stabbed and almost lost all my fingers. They had to reattach everything. And then I got hit with a bar stool in the bar trying to arrest a guy. I mean, it's pretty dangerous, but I like it. I really do.
For years, Detroit has been considered one of the most dangerous cities in the USA, and especially infamous is 7 Mile Road. This is an area so tough that even the police only dare tread during the day. The violent crime rate is 5 times higher than in the rest of the country. In 2018, over 13,000 crimes were reported. Many more occurred. 7 Mile in particular is the front line for the bloody territorial battles that brutally define this no-go zone. Detroit is located directly on the Canadian border in the U.S. state of Michigan. The infamous 7 Mile Road stretches from one end of the city to the other. A special unit of bounty hunters prepares for their next assignment on the outskirts of downtown. The team is made up of 4 men, former elite special forces, police officers, and mercenaries.
I think this guy's about 26.
Tommy Depung leads the unit. So far, he's arrested over 2,500 criminals.
It's gotta be an apartment, so.
You know what we're driving, what we're there for. You got your baton, you got your spray?
I do.
Both vests?
Yeah.
All right.
Many ordinary citizens won't leave their homes anymore without a weapon. Over 114,000 people have concealed carry permits in the Detroit metropolitan region. But the actual numbers are much higher.
There's been a lot of drug-related, gang-related shootings, and so Detroit PD has been doing their best to be proactive with their gang units, but you can't get ahead of it fast enough.
For 20 years now, Tommy and his partner Popeye have been hunting down criminals. At the top of their list, gang members. Today, they're after a big fish.
So it's one of those cases where you get a tip every once in a while. It's a guy out on bond for a pretty serious offense. It was a large amount of cocaine and weapons charge. It's pretty much total gang culture. There's some locals, but Crips and Bloods, don't forget, still kind of rule the lay of the land everywhere.
How much is your bond on that one?
$50,000.
Wow.
$50,000 prize money. The first clues lead the hunters straight into the no-go zone. And who knows which criminals the bounty hunters might encounter.
7 Mile. That's kind of like the hot targeted red zone right now. And there's been a lot of execution styles lately in the head 2 times. So it's, they're not playing. It's when somebody says that they're gonna come and kill somebody, we used to laugh about it 10, 12 years ago. Now they are coming to kill somebody.
You take it serious.
And unfortunately, a lot of the...
Back to the right.
Yes, take it right. People with the guns, the shooters, are juveniles.
The bounty hunters drive to the criminal's last known address. Standard procedure. They're counting on tips about his current hangout. If arrested, fugitive could face 8 to 10 years in prison. The hunters are also on the lookout for smaller fish in this pond. In his 50 years as a bounty hunter, Popeye, the veteran of the troop, has been attacked several times.
I think the worst one I had was out in Arizona. We was out there when I got shot in the back. I was down for about 2 years.
As they thought, no new tips. But the hunters have to exhaust all their options.
Let's keep moving.
They hope to get more information from the sister of the wanted drug and weapons dealer, so they set off in her direction, despite the risk. In many places, Detroit resembles a ghost town, once home to the U.S. automobile industry, major companies like Ford, Chrysler, and General Motors. Since the economic and financial crisis, a lot of these factories have been empty. The result? Huge layoffs. Entire sectors of the economy moved out, and tax revenues have fallen to all-time lows. All that's left of the American dream is a living nightmare. Extreme poverty prevails on 7 Mile. Countless families can't make it without food donations. Steady jobs are rare. Although some big companies have returned, the good old days are over. For the people who live along 7 Mile, it's all just part of their unforgiving daily life. Also for Michael, an ex-gang member. He's lived in the no-go zone since he was born. Gang wars flare up every week. Countless people have already lost family members or friends in these struggles. For the station attendants, all customers are suspicious at first. In the no-go zone, they prefer to be protected by bulletproof glass. Michael could also be a criminal or a gang member.
It's very necessary, you know, anything can happen. Someone can come in here, you know, try to reach over there, or someone come in here armed, try to rob the store, which they ain't worried about that. But, you know, it's just basically safety purposes.
A lot of hot spots along 7 Mile have their own special names. Like Michael's, he lives in the so-called red zone. The area is located in the northeast corner with a zip code 48205, right between 7 and 8 Mile. The red zone is so dangerous that some of the people who live there call it the war zone, because the 7 Mile Bloods have also got their deadly finger in the pie.
The main problem in this area is gangs. You know, everybody want to be a gangbanger, you know. So that creates a lot of violence, you know. Everybody wants to be a blood.
With no hope for the future in Detroit, young people are driven onto the streets and directly into the hands of the waiting gangs. Michael was also unable to escape their allure. The temptation for quick cash got the better of him. It was the birth of his youngest son that woke him up.
I didn't know I could make boys. From the time I was 16 till the time I was 18, I was, you know, running the streets, selling drugs, you know. And by the time I was 18, that changed. You know, I got locked up one time, wanted to stay free, stay alive.
Michael spent more than 1 year in prison. Since then, he earns a lot less money working shifts than he did as a drug dealer. He wants to show his children that there's another way besides gangs and violence.
The kids, it's very important. You know, you want the kids to grow up to do the right thing. You know, get your education, because that's the most important thing in this world is education. Without that, you don't have any knowledge and you don't know nothing, then you're pretty much screwed.
A good education is expensive. $11,000 for 1 year at a private school. And government alternatives? Not many of those around anymore. For a long time now, Detroit has been one of the largest deprived metropolitan areas in the United States. In the last 15 years, about 2/3 of all public schools have been closed. The reason? The collapse of the economy has had a major impact on the size of the population. Once the richest city in the country, it is now among the poorest. As a result, around 60% of all residents are believed to be illiterate. Meanwhile, the bounty hunters have almost reached their destination. Their search leads them to the border area of the 7 Mile Bloods, where the sister of the wanted drug and weapons dealer allegedly lives. But here, lower-ranking gang members might cross their path. Once at the house, they look for clues to lead them to their target. Getting out of the car is not an option at the moment. The danger is too great, that the bounty hunters will be noticed by neighbors. Here, the team can never know who's a friend and who's an enemy.
For the most part, nobody wants to get involved because of the backlash and social media and the wildfire, that how they can, go like that. If they were found out to have assisted, it could be very serious consequences for them. So they're more apt probably not to say anything.
The house appears to be empty. It's getting too risky for the bounty hunters here. They abort the mission and disappear from the scene. During a short break, the neighbor from before reappears. He's one of the good guys and wants to help the team.
Doors down, man. There was 2 doors down. To your right with the way you were standing in there. Is it Rhonda?
No, but it's just Rhonda and her brother live there now.
Well, that covers that up good. That keeps us from sitting out there bugging, worrying the neighborhood, sitting there wasting time, burning daylight.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, that
A setback. The wanted man is not at his sister's house.
There you go, brother.
bad for
Right on. That's my cell. Shoot me if you would. Text
Okay.
me your cell. Just if we get anything hot back this way, we'd get some ears and eyes on it before. Of course, if you see him, shoot me a text. I'll take a picture and shoot that to you. Poke down in there at all or no?
The bounty hunters have informants all over the city.
on the curry and we grab it.
For a hot tip with a successful outcome, they'll pay up to $1,000. Right now, they're waiting for some feedback from their most important contact. Everyone's waiting for darkness to fall in one of the most dangerous cities in the USA. As night descends, the entire length of 7 Mile is transformed into a deadly no-go zone. The risk of being murdered in Detroit is 11 times higher than New York City. An endless gang war holds the city in its clutches. Once police show up, a showdown is usually already over. The residents have but one chance to survive the night. Don't leave the house after dark. Michael also stays within his own 4 walls.
You see it on the news every day. Yeah, I don't think there's a day that go by that I turn on the news and it doesn't say anything about someone innocent getting hurt or just, someone getting shot, period. We just had a holiday. In that one day, we had over 20 shootings.
Shootings and crime, nothing new to him. Michael's house is positioned directly in the death zone.
I definitely want to move out of Detroit, out of the red zone. It's just gonna take me working my ass off to do it.
His dream, a new home for his children. So the same fate does not befall them, like many others here, joining a gang or selling their body.